Hey guys, so I'm gonna kind of go over a few stretches because I've got stretching days in part of your daily routines, and I just want to kind of go over some really important stretches. Make sure you're targeting the right muscles. We're trying to avoid cramping, stuff like that, any aberrant pains. Stretching can help with these things, so I'm gonna go over a few with you guys so you know how to stretch properly. Okay, so the first stretch is gonna target your hamstrings. What you want to do is sit on the edge of a chair. You're going to kick one leg out straight, pull the toes back towards you, sit nice and tall, and you hinge at the waist, lean forward, and you should feel that stretch pull along the back of your thigh muscle. Now, with this one, you want to make sure that you're not rounding your back, that you're staying nice and tall. Okay guys, another way you can stretch your hamstrings is by sitting on the floor. I like this one, I feel it a lot more, but if you're not able to get down and on the floor very easily, you can definitely do this sitting in a chair, that's fine, you're targeting the same muscles. But what I'm doing here, I have my opposite leg in a butterfly position. I'm sitting really tall and I'm just reaching for my toes. And as you can see, I'm not very flexible, but I'm making sure that I'm trying to keep my back as straight as I possibly can. I feel this all the way pulling down the back of my thigh here. Another thing you can do, of course you don't want to neglect each side, so you're going to do both sides here. Sit, reach, make sure that you're breathing. Another thing you can do is you can sit in a V position, sit nice and tall. You can reach straight down here, target some different hamstrings. You can go one side here, reach, and then the opposite side. So you can kind of play around with it. It's not necessarily a specific way to stretch your hamstrings. It's just I'm giving you guys some ideas to get different stretches in because stretching days are very important. Okay guys, another stretch that kind of targets the glutes and the hamstring, maybe even part of your low back, is a single knee to chest stretch. It's exactly how it sounds. You want to lay flat on your back. You want to grab one knee with your hands and you want to pull up towards your chest as far as you can. You should feel this stretch maybe in the back of the hamstrings, pulling down into the glutes. You may even feel it into your low back depending on how tight you are. Of course, with these stretches, you want to go to slight discomfort but no pain. And you want to hold for a little bit, make sure you're breathing. Okay, and now I want to change it a little bit to target one of your external rotators or your piriformis muscle. So to target it, I bend the other leg just slightly. I'm going to cross my ankle over my knee. I'm still going to grab my knee with my hands, but this time I'm pulling up and across towards the opposite shoulder. So my right knee is coming towards my left shoulder. Now you want to feel this one more in the glutes back here, kind of near where your hip bone is on the side. And it's a deeper muscle, so you may feel it kind of deep. And a lot of people are tight with this one. Another stretch you can do is a figure four stretch. If you don't really feel that piriformis stretch with that motion, you can change it because it's a double worker. It does internal rotation as well at different angles. So if you're not feeling it there, you can go into a figure four sit, place one hand on your knee, the other hand on your ankle, and you want to gently push your knee downward towards the wall until you feel that stretch in the back of the hip here. And again, you want to make sure that you're breathing with these stretches. Make sure you're doing it on both sides. So another stretch to kind of target some of your inner thigh muscles here is called a butterfly stretch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my feet where my soles are kissing towards each other and try to pull my legs as far in as I can that's comfortable. And then with my elbows, I'm pushing down towards the floor. Erect posture is good for this one. You want to try to sit nice and tall as you can. You should feel this all in the groin area down maybe the sides of your inner thighs. A lot of people are tight with this one. So one of the things that you want to make sure you're targeting when you're stretching is your IT band. It can get neglected and it can cause some pain at your hip, specifically near your greater trochanter. You may get some bursitis if you don't keep this guy loose. One of the ways you can stretch this, of course, and pay attention here, these steps can get a little confusing, but this is a good stretch if you can target the IT band. I'm going to stretch my left IT band here. So I'm going to cross my right foot in front of my left. I'm near a railing here so I can brace myself. And I'm going to kick my left hip towards the wall or the railing that I'm standing near, and keeping my pelvis forward, pushed forward. You want to make sure you're not letting it fall back, because that IT band connects to your TFL, which is part of the front of your hip here, and so to get that stretch properly, you want to make sure your hip's coming forward. So I'm leaning here until I feel that pull all the way down the side of my leg. And you may have to play with this a little bit to get the feeling for it. A lot of patients have difficulty targeting this one. So if you have a foam roller available to you, those are great tools to be able to stretch yourself with those in a less intense kind of way. I like to stretch the IT band specifically on this guy because I feel like I get a lot out of it. So one of the ways you can stretch your IT band is on a foam roller here. I like this because I feel like it kind of gets in there and does a really good stretch for me. I'm gonna lay across it, put my side of my thigh on this guy, straighten the leg out. I cross my right foot kind of in front of my knee here, and I'm just keeping my body weight on the foam roller as I roll it forward and roll it back. I'm trying to keep it on the side of my leg. And this can be kind of intense, so the foam roller might not be for everyone, but it definitely can be a great tool for helping stretch tight muscles. Another thing you can do is get the hamstrings, so you can even sit on it with your legs extended out front. I've got my hamstrings on it, and I'm just rocking my body back and forth. Now if you feel like you don't have the upper body strength, that's fine. Put one leg down. Just press your leg into it. My bottom is on the floor. I'm not really having to use much of my body weight here, but I still feel it stretching. You can even get the inside part of your thigh. A little awkward, but it works. And you can also go over the top of it and get your quads. Again, if you don't have the body weight to hold yourself up, again, if you don't have the strength to hold your body weight up, you can go down to your elbows and just kind of crawl, army crawl, forward and back. Good job. So, another muscle that you want to target is your quad muscle. To do that, there's a few different ways, but one thing that I like is reaching behind, grabbing my ankle, and pulling my foot towards my glutes. One thing you're looking for here is, you see how my leg's kind of coming forward here? I really want to try to push that leg back so I feel that stretch all the way down the front of my thigh. I even feel it in the front of my hip here too, which is also a good thing. Another way you can stretch your quads is if you're able to. Harder surfaces are a little bit harder on the knees, but you can do this on your bed, but just kind of rock back, heels to glutes, and stretch those quads right there. Okay. Another thing you can do to kind of hit your hip flexors, which are another important one, is get into a half kneeling position, and you want to rock your pelvis forward as far as you can while keeping this knee planted. I'm feeling that pull all the way down my thigh right here. Great stretch. Another really important stretch for runners is, again, a hamstring stretch. but this time I'm going to show you how to do that in standing. Now I'm keeping my back flat as I can, and I'm reaching for my toes as far as I can go. So once I get here, I feel like I can't really go any further with keeping my back flat. That is perfectly okay because I'm feeling it all in the hamstrings here. Now you'll see some people where they just round the back, and you see how far I can go when I round my back, but that takes less pressure off the hamstrings and I don't feel it quite as much. So it's important, keep the back flat, just reach as far as you can. And I'm breathing. You can also do this with a wider stance. Target some of the more inner hamstrings by reaching straight down here. And you can even target one side a little bit more than the other, so you can reach towards your right leg. And I'm breathing. I'm going to go to my left leg. And you see I've got slow and controlled movements. You never want to go into ballistic movements with this. I'm going to come back to center and roll up. So another muscle that you guys want to make sure that you're targeting are your calf muscles. These can get neglected sometimes when you're stretching, but you want to make sure that you're focusing on stretching all parts of your lower body. One way to stretch your calves, I like to find a little bit of a higher surface, maybe a step. I plant my toes on that step, keeping my legs straight. I'm leaning into the step until I can feel that pull here. Now this is important. You want your pelvis to come over the front of your foot here and make sure that you have something to hold on to for balance. Now you can change the way it stretches to a different muscle if you pull into it and bend the knee slightly. That targets your soleus a little bit more than your gastroc, which is another important muscle, especially if you're trying to target muscles that are for endurance. Your soleus is more of a deep muscle, and it tends to get a little bit tighter whenever you're running for longer periods of time. So slight bend in the knee, leaning forward until I feel that stretch. This one you'll probably feel more down lower. You can also do a gastroc stretch by finding a solid surface. This moves, so I'm going to make sure it's stable. I'm getting into a lunge position, and I am keeping my heel down as I lean my pelvis forward and feeling this stretch all right here in my calf. So stretching is a great way to keep yourself from getting hurt. You want to be faithful on those stretching days and really stretch those tight muscles. These were just some simple ideas to give you guys if you didn't have any clue how to stretch. Make sure that you're targeting the ones that I gave you. You can also go online and Google stretches to figure out different ways, maybe get creative. Shoot me some via social media. I may enjoy watching some of these stretches. They give me some new ideas with my patients. I don't know. Whenever you're stretching, I want it to be important that you're holding that stretch for at least 30 seconds to 60 seconds, preferably up to even 90 seconds to get that tissue to actually give. So make sure that you're performing at least 3 to 4 reps of these stretches to make sure that you're getting a good, adequate stretch.